and welcome to Gathering Momentum for Your Life. I'm Christine Casten, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more in our devotional about, the topic is information overload. And you say, what? Information overload? Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things out there that we gather information. We go to a Sunday service, we gather information about the message. We go to a Bible study, we gather information about Scripture. We go through, we go to small groups, and we gather information about the training, whatever that focus is, conferences, etc. There's a lot of information that's out there. There's an information overload. We are in such a time, such a season where information is at our fingertips. Google, you just go in and you just type stuff in, and all of a sudden you've got all this information. So much so that it's difficult sometimes to process it, right? It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much there. I just keep getting more. And we've become an information driven culture. And what I mean by this is that we go from one thing to another just trying to feed us, right? It's that concept of give someone a fish and they'll eat for a day, but teach them how to fish and they actually can feed themselves, right? They'll be able to stand on their own and be able to be on their own in that process. But the way we have things is it creates a dependency on people to be able to give you the information so that you eat for the day. And so what happens in that is that we learn to be a consumer driven society. We learn to only be about what more information or the newest shiny new toy that we can find, or the things that are the ooh, more. But we never actually learn how to implement it. We never actually learn how to apply it. We don't always get time to even practice it because we're so busy getting more information. So one of the things that I think is really important for you, and what I would encourage you to do, and again, this is part of that Christian growth. This is part of that development process that many people don't take time for. It's like, it's that fear of missing out, right? I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss that if I don't go do this and I don't go do that. And so you run from one thing to the next, pulling more information in, but you never actually spend the time to process it. It never has a chance to go deeper. It's just we're an inch deep and a mile wide, right? Because we need the time to take that information in, yes, but then we need the time to actually understand the information. We need to take the time for us to figure out, well, what does this look like? If I apply this to my life and I am living it out, what happens? Can I practice that? Can I practice living it out? How do I do that? Can I put language to this latest understanding, this latest information? Can I put language to it? Because if I'm just regurgitating someone else's words, that hasn't necessarily dropped into my spirit. That's just a repeating process. And it doesn't take maturity to repeat things. It takes maturity to make them your own and to allow them to go deep into your heart and deep into your life so that it actually becomes a lifestyle that is part of who you are, right? And that's the place where we actually step into a growth in our sonship. One of the things that I've found over my life is that I have a beautiful joy of having just rich information in my life. I have books, I have access to a lot of different conferences, I have access to a lot of different things that are out there that give me more information. The prophecies, the things that come out that are distributed, that are spoken. And in all of that, what I've found is that it is so fleeting for me if I don't take the time to actually allow it to go deep into my heart. So within the idea of the process of growth, in the Warrior Commission, we have kind of ways we categorize, if you will, just so we can wrap our heads around it. We have flow, which is when a lot of information is coming in. And then we have ebb. And in ebb, that's where that information is getting processed. It's where we're kind of trying to understand it. We're trying to think, okay, well, what does this mean? What do I do with it? What does this look like? So you have the flow where everything's happening. Then you have the ebb, which is that pause, that place of pause where you're just saying, okay, I'm going to take this information. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with it just so I can actually allow it to go deeper and I can process it and think about it. And then after ebb, you have the activation. Now, the activation part is where you're practicing it. You're like, okay, I understand it. I got the information. I'm going deeper with the information. It's now kind of settling into my spirit, but now I've got to kind of understand, what does it look like to live this out? I have language for it maybe, and I'm able to talk about what it is or what that difference is. But shifting out of what was into what is with that new revelation is part of activating in it. You practice it, you take it for a spin, you mess with it, right? You play with the stuff, as we like to say, in the Warrior Commission. And so then as you do that, then because you're actively working with that revelation, that understanding, that information, it's now becoming a lifestyle. It's becoming something that, because you're practicing it, it's becoming a more normal thing. It's becoming a more integrated part of your life. And once it becomes a lifestyle, it's truly embedded in your DNA. It's become a part of you. And that's really how we treat the revelation. So the information or the revelation comes in. And as you move through this process of the flow, the ebb, the activation, and the lifestyle component, it does seem very linear, right? It does seem, oh, well, I've got this. Now this can be happening. God's a multitasker, right? So it can happen on multiple ways, in multiple ways in your life in different times. But if we just take this one moment in space and you take this understanding, you take this information, you process it, you think about it, you practice it, you activate in it, and then it becomes part of your lifestyle. Well, once it becomes part of your lifestyle, it doesn't take a lot of conscious thought because it is who you are. And when we're talking about kingdom concepts, when we're talking about like knowing the nature of God and why it's important to keep our focus on him, right? Because we see what he's doing, right? We see the nature of God. We see the kindness, the compassion, all these different things that are aspects of the heart of God. We process it. We think about, how does that apply to my life? How has God been faithful? How has he been true? How has his compassion been in my life? What has that looked like? How has that showed itself? How have I become aware of that? And then it's like, oh, well, he's been so compassionate to me. I want to learn what it is to be compassionate to others. So I'm going to practice compassion. I'm going to practice what it is to be kind. I'm going to practice patience. I'm going to practice, understanding others. And then as I do that, as I practice it, then I become more compassionate. I become more kind. I become more capable of interacting with people through the heart of God. In other words, through his nature that has now become a part of my life. It's become a part of my DNA. And I don't have to think about trying to be kind. I don't have to think about trying to be compassionate. And the thing about God is there's always more that he wants to reveal, right? There's a new space of compassion. There's a new expansion in kindness. There's a new understanding of what it is to have the tenacity of God's love, kind of that relentless love going after you. And so there's this whole cycle, if you will, that happens, that starts over again, right? And we just continue to deepen and develop in all of those things. So the reason I wanted to talk to you about that is because in this day and age, you have a choice. You have a choice to continue to get information and run from one shiny new toy to the next. or you have an opportunity to take that information in and do something with that information that actually will be transformative in your life, that actually will take you into a place of growth, into a place of deeper development, into a place of a greater, being a greater carrier and liver. That's a bad word, I guess, but someone who lives, one who lives out the life and the nature and the heart of the Father in our lives. And that's really what growing in sonship is about. In those places, yes, we find authority. In those places, yes, we find the ability to overcome. We find the ability to change atmospheres as we walk in because of what we carry. See, what we carry has to do with our revelation, our level of revelation of the heart of God, our level of revelation of the nature of God. And if we don't have the true revelation and we haven't learned to live it out in our day to day, we'll never be able to carry it into something else because we'll only be trying to manufacture it and it won't be real. So when you are moving into a place of greater sonship and you want to have greater authority and you want to walk in the more of God without the process of taking that information and making it real and it becoming a true part of your life, there will be no change. You'll just be, trying it out. So I really want to encourage you to embrace the process of taking that information into a lifestyle rather than just going and gathering more information all the time. And I think that as you do that, you will find a depth that grows in you that's different than what you found in the past. I think you'll find that there's an exponential growth that happens in your life as things continue to get established, and as you realize, wow, this is different. I'm different than I was before. I'm carrying peace into a situation that used to just bring anxiety and chaos, and to be able to walk in that is just a beautiful, amazing gift that God gives us in our sonship with him. I hope this encourages you. I hope it helps you gather momentum in your life as you continue to build and grow in him. I thank you for being a part. I'm Christine Casten. And if you're interested in checking out the Warrior Commission, where we do a lot of this stuff together, would love for you to check us out at thewarriorcommission.com. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.